We will mute the phones during the webinar. Use the chat box if you have questions. All questions will be answered at the end of the session, and depending on how many questions we have, we'll try to get through them all. And this will be available online to download in a PDF version and video probably by week's end. So Club Credit is a module within Accounts Receivable. Club Credit is basically involves in the setup of credit groups and categories, which is how we organize the different types of credit that a club can offer. When we create Club Credit, there's multiple ways that you can issue the Club Credit, so we'll go over those, how to associate credit with a fee billing, how to use Club Credit, so when a member comes in and they have credits on their account, how can we use those at point of sale and back office. Reporting options available to you, how to view outstanding credit on a member's account, how to design your credit gift certificates using Form Designer, how to print the gift certificates. So these are the topics that we'll be covering today. The basis for the Club Credit module is the credit groups, and that forms the foundation of settings. So the credit group establishes whether or not we're going to require payment for credit before allowing use. So if someone buys a gift certificate or buys a gift card or sweeps, do they have to pay for that in full before they can start redeeming it? Okay, some clubs will say yes, they do. Other clubs will say no, if they charge it to their member account, they can start using it immediately, and then they'll pay for it on that month's statement. You can choose pre-printed or automatically assigned credit numbering. There are different settings to designate how you want to issue credits, so whether or not they can be sold, whether or not you can add free credits. So gift certificates, typically we would enable that they can be sold. Free credits example would be if we're giving a gift certificate as part of a tournament prize that we're donating, or if we give away sweeps as part of tournament winnings, we need to be able to add those for free versus a member paying for them. We can restrict credit to only apply to the base amount and exclude service charges, taxes, and gratuities, which is typical of most clubs, or you could say that if they have credit, it could cover those amounts as well. As I mentioned, whether to require payment for credit before allowing use, it's another setting on the credit group level. Other features, whether we allow top-ups. So a top-up means if I have an outstanding sweeps or credit or gift certificate and I purchase more, would I just allow the initial credit to get added to or topped up? So that keeps the primary credit and just adds any incremental values rather than having, 6 different credits on your account because you remain separate instead of topping the original one up. If we're going to allow the expiry of credits, okay, so again, this depends on the laws in place where your club operates. Most gift cards cannot expire now, depending on the region that you live. So we do allow the expiry, but it's not forced. Whether or not you'll allow the refund of an unused credit. Again, this is a club preference. So if a member has credit, they don't use it. Can we give that money back to them? Other features that the module includes is a GL account restriction. So if we're going to post credit to an expense account, you can actually limit the accounts that are available for selection. So if the golf shop is issuing sweeps and you have concerns over what GL posting will be created, you can actually limit the account options that they have. Other options related to the member use or POS. Track one balance per member. So this is similar to top-ups in that if someone has credit and they have multiple instances, maybe they've won a couple tournaments, they have a bunch of different sweeps, do we want to just track one balance? Okay, so if I have a $10 credit and a $20, just show me that I have 30. So track that all as one balance, not as separate. Whether or not you allow member charge. So this allows a charge for credits to be posted to Receivable versus requiring cash payment. So if I'm selling a gift certificate, can I sell that and tender it via member charge, or does it have to be paid with credit card, cash, etc.? Allow dependent usage means that if a primary member has credit on their account, then the dependent, spouse, child can use that as well. At present, it does not work the other way. So if you issue it to a spouse, it cannot be seen on the primary account. That is something that will likely change in the future to allow you to issue it to any member of a family and it be used amongst the family if you select so. Auto-apply to member charges, what this does is it takes some of the thought process out of using credits. So often we'll see this in the golf shop if you have sweeps and they force you to use sweeps if you have them, or club credit, shop credit. So if we turn this flag on, then whenever a member charge is selected, the system automatically looks to see if they have any credits, and if they do, it uses them. Okay, you don't have to go say, let's see if they have credits and select that you want to use it. It automatically applies it if they have it. A lot of clubs choose not to use this feature because members like to hold on to their credits and save them all up. So obviously the auto apply would not be favored. What kind of credit are you issuing when you're issuing club credit? Is it associated with a member or is it a non-member credit? So we can either apply it to a member account, which means that we would attach a member name to the instance of credit, or you can allow it to be issued to a non-member, in which case there is no name associated with it. The neat thing about allowing it to apply to a member account is that you can now track that balance with a member's name. You can look up on their member inquiry or at point of sale and see how much credit they have because it's associated with them. If you issue it to a non-member, then the credits are stored in a mass, database list of outstanding credits. Okay, you can search by keywords to locate them, but they're not attached to a person's name. Depends on how you're using the credit and what the club decides they want to do, because you can issue them all as non-member credits and not, attach them to anyone, or you can attach them to a member. Credit group, some of the setup screens we're looking at here, you would name your credit group. Credit numbering, again, is the gift certificate number. You can choose assigned automatically, so it will be system generated. Then you have all the settings that we talked about. Credit category, so one level below the group, once we have the group established, we create a credit category, and these are specific settings related to the unique credit. It follows what the settings are on the group level. Must-haves to create a category. So before you start creating your credit category, you have to have these aspects, otherwise you won't be able to save. These are credit group. You have to have a billing item, so this is when we are selling, if we are selling the gift certificate or the shop credit, what's the billing item we're using, and this triggers the GL entry, so the GL that's affected when the credit is created and charged to a member. You also must have a redemption item. This is a payment item, so this is set up in system admin. This is where we say when someone uses the credit, what's my GL entry? What account am I triggering? And then you also must have the credit number series, so this sets the numbering pattern. Optional settings within your credit categories are a minimum or maximum issue amount. Okay, so this can help control the issuance of gift certificates or shop credit if you set a minimum and maximum, meaning they can only be issued in increments of the min and max. If you allow for expiry, set the expiry date preferences. Okay, you can say expires within a year on a certain date. You can expire it a year from issuance. So there's a couple different options there. You can restrict to specific sales areas for redemption. So the redemption area allows you to say this gift certificate can only be used in the golf area or only be used in the food and beverage area. You can restrict redemption to certain sales item categories. So the golf gift certificates can only be used for the merchandise categories, okay, because it's pro-owned and not, the greens fee category. And then you can restrict redemption to certain billing item categories, which is your back office. The credit groups and categories, these are located within the Club Credit module, and the Club Credit module is located under Accounts Receivable. So if you have this module, you'll be able to tell by going to Accounts Receivable and then going to the side panel with the details of that module, and it'll be listed under your setups and tasks. I believe it's a gold coin icon. Just to look at what the credit category screen looks like, description, credit item description, the credit group it belongs to, and then all those components that I said are mandatory to have: the billing item, top-up item if you allow top-ups, redemption item, number series, min and max issue. Once you have the credit groups and credit categories created, now we're at the point where we can start issuing or creating credits. There are 3 ways that we can issue credit, including posting to an expense account. Okay, Okay, so that's more if it is on behalf of the club that we're issuing, you know, shop credit or gift certificates where it's not being paid for by a member, it's going to an expense account. We can post no entry, so these are free credits. There is no GL impact, no posting to the liability, nothing. Or you can post to the member account, meaning that the member is paying for them. You have to have the proper settings configured in Create Credit, so in your credit groups, to allow different ways to issue. So you have to allow free credits in order to be able to post no entry or to post to an expense. Otherwise, it will only let you post to a member account. Allow member charge, again, that gives you the option to post to a member account. If you don't have that checkbox flag, then you won't be able to issue it in that way. So this is what our Create Credit screen looks like. We'll create the date of record, the due date. The due date is only applicable if the member's paying. Batch reference and GL description should be fairly descriptive so that if you ever have to go back to the audit trail, you know exactly what you were doing at the time. And then you'll choose the credit group. Then you can see we've created the grid with the purchaser and the owner. The difference in this is if a member is purchasing it for someone else, then the purchaser number and owner number would be different. If I'm buying my own shop credit or I'm buying my own gift certificate, then the purchaser number and owner would be the same. The system will generate the first name and last name based on the owner number, which is the member number. We'll put in a reference, sales area, and then the credit category, which will populate based on the group you've selected. The description here is very important, so I've typed in ABC Credit Book. The reason being is that that description will show up if we ever do a drill down on our credit. So if you're wondering, how did that member get $50? The description will show. If you don't change the description, it'll default to just say golf merchandise credit, which isn't too specific. Up at the top, you can see we have a post option drop-down, so there's where you have your options: charge to member account, post to a clearing account, or do not post anything. Below that, you do also have force expiry date to a certain date if required. And then before posting your credits, you will have a journal entry preview at the bottom of the screen. The other way that you can issue credits is at point of sale. So you can issue credits through point of sale by selling a gift certificate. So this is as if, you know, the member comes up to the counter and says, I'd like to buy this gift certificate or gift card or shop credit. It's the same methodology as back of house. It achieves the same result. It's just done at point of sale instead of back of house. You do need a button in point of sale to issue credits at point of sale, and this will be an issue credit function button. So you can either put this on your fixed function menu or on your toolbar. When you create this button in POS, through your POS setups, you'll have to choose what that issue credit button will do. So you choose the credit group and category that will redeem against, and you can choose select at POS if you want to use the button for multiple categories. So if you have gift certificates as a credit group and you have a couple categories under that group, then you can select at POS. So you use one button, but you have 3 options when you're at point of sale, depending on what credit you want to issue. So the button setup here, this is what it will look like in the fixed function or the toolbar. You need an issue credit button, and then either select the specific category that you want it to issue or say select at POS, which if you have multiple categories will allow you to add multiple issuance. Issuing credits for POS, select the issue credit button to add credit to the customer's chit. So it's just like selling a sales item. You would click issue credit and it would add that to the bill. You'd be prompted to enter the value of the credit to issue. Keep in mind, if you have a minimum or maximum set, that the value must fall between that range. If it's a member, then you can member charge to tender that chit, and that's how the member's paying for it. If it's a non-member coming in to buy a gift certificate or shop credit, then you could settle it with other tenders such as cash, credit card, check, assuming, again, that you're allowing the sale to non-members. So we've created our credit groups and categories. We now have issued them either at back of house or point of sale. Now we're at the point of a member comes in to redeem it. So a member comes into POS and wants to redeem credit. And this is our first example where we're talking about members versus a non-member, which will be our next example. So when a member comes into point of sale and they want to redeem credit, whether it be a gift certificate or shop credit, prepare the CHIT. So add your sales items, so what they're buying, whether it be greens fee, whether it be merchandise, whether it's a hamburger and a drink. So add your sales items to the ticket so that the total is compiled. You have to have the redeem credit button on your fixed function menu. Again, set to the appropriate credit group and category. So we talked about the issue credit. You also need a redeem credit button, and this allows you to tender the CHIT using credit instead of member charge or any other, cash tender. Once the redeem credit is selected, eligible credits will populate to indicate how much the member has to spend. It automatically will tell you how much of their credit is eligible for the specific purchase. If their credit is not able to be spent on the items that have been put onto the CHIT, then it's not going to say those credits are eligible for use. So you can see here, golf merchandise credit book, that's the credit that they have. They have 4502 is available credit, but they only have 2749 as eligible. This means that there is items on the ticket that don't fully fulfill that 4502. Okay, so the eligible is the total amount of credit that they could possibly use if you wanted to. So you would just click the add button or the recommended, and it would put that amount under the credits to apply, and you'd hit OK. The second scenario that we have is a redemption of credit from a non-member. So if a non-member comes to the point of sale and they want to redeem the credit, the difference here is they don't have an account that we can just pull up their name and see the credits attached. So we're still going to prepare the CHIT, add the sales items to it, what they're buying or purchasing, and then, again, you have to have that redeem credit button on the fixed function menu. Once you click redeem credit, it's not going to show you anything for eligible credits because it's a non-member. It doesn't have anything stored. Once that screen opens, though, you will click non-member credits, which is the yellow button there, and that will populate a list or database of all the credits that are not associated with a member account. So you can look them up by gift certificate number. You could look it up by ABC tournament if that was in the description of the gift certificate or shop credit. It's a search, so you can search or scroll through the listing of all the non-member credits. New feature, fairly recent in Encore, is creating credits with a fee billing. It's been around for a little bit of a time, but it's something that not a lot of people know about. We can create credits with a fee billing so that when you bill a member, it automatically creates the credits for you. So where this would be used is some clubs use a prepaid minimum. So they need to bill their members for X amount of dollars, but then we also want them to have credits on their account to spend. So we can achieve this by automatically creating credits when we bill out that prepaid minimum. So if it's a $100 prepaid minimum, we'd create $100 worth of credit at the same time. Now, the credit amount does not have to be the same as the fee billing amount, and we'll get to that. Must-haves to proceed with this are a billing item. Okay, so what are we charging the client? A fee billing schedule, because those are components of the fee billing task. A credit group and credit category, which takes care of issuing the credits. So fee billing, we set that up in AR under fee billing agreements. So you'll create the fee billing, fill out the required fields. The difference here is you're going to proceed to the Club Credit tab. The Club Credit tab is where you're going to flag create a club credit when billing, which means when I bill the member, also create the credits for me. This saves you a step. You don't have to go do the billing and then go into create credits separately. Once you flag that, select the credit group and category. Choose the amount of credit to create. So you can make it equal to the fee billing amount. So if we're billing them 100, give them credits for 100. Or you can make it a percentage of the fee billing amount or a specific value. So maybe we bill them 100, but they only get $80 of credit to use. Or we bill them 100 and they get $120 of credits to use. Okay, so it does allow you the flexibility with that. So this is what the screen will look like here. So create a club credit when billing. We've chosen the group and category. You will choose the offset account. This is typically the liability account. Then choose the amount to use. So again, fee charge to member means create credits equal to the billing amount, percentage of fee, or specific value. So once you've issued credits, you can always do credit adjustments. So these are used to make adjustments on existing credits, whether it be, an error in issuance or a correction or, some other reason we're adjusting a credit. When you're doing credit adjustments, there's a separate task for this. We'll open a batch. You'll select a group and category that you want to edit. So you can see at the bottom of the screen, credit book, merchandise credit book in the area of the Pro Shop. Once you set a member number, so down at the bottom you see member number 9, it will show existing credit items under the category selected, so under the merchandise credit book category. If member 9 doesn't have any credit, then that credit item column is going to be blank. I can't adjust something that doesn't exist. It has to exist. So you'll choose a credit item if they have multiple, choose a credit item to adjust, and then again it's pulling first name, last name, put in a reference number, description, status means is it active or inactive currently, and then it'll give you the balance. So all you're going to do is go to the adjustment column and enter either a positive or negative amount to increase or reduce the credit balance. Okay, you have to have a charge code set up, which is the charge code to issue credit. So it'll either, go positive or negative. So you can see there balance 250, adjustment negative 50 for whatever reason. So it will adjust based on the charge code that we've selected, and it'll post a GL entry to adjust that, either positive or minus to the credit. Another function of the module, we have credit inquiry. So this is used to view credit information. This shows you the details of when it's issued, if it's been used, who it's owned by, the username who issued this credit. The credit inquiry, this is also a new feature, now allows you to change the owner or make the credit inactive. So the changing the owner is something new. So if I have created credit to a member and either I've made a mistake or that member said, let so-and-so use it, I'm going to give my gift certificate to him, you can actually change the original owner. So in the top panel of the screen, you can see owner, and it's actually not grayed out, that John Sutler, and we have a blue icon there, so you can actually search for a new owner, and you can replace it. This is very, very handy if you've made an error when you're issuing the credit. You gave it to the wrong member because now it's attached to the wrong account. You can easily change the owner. Then down below, you can see the detail that we see with this inquiry, so the date, when it was issued, the reference and description, who was the user that created this, and the amount that it was initially issued for. You can also see in the lower part of the screen we've changed the owner, okay, and then we would just hit our save key. The other thing you can do is change the status from active to inactive. Okay, so if the member, is suspended for whatever reason, you want to deactivate these credits, or if you created credits ahead of time and they really shouldn't be used yet and you want to hold off on that, you can deactivate a credit. So for whatever reason you need to deactivate the credits, you can do so in that status dropdown. Reporting options available within the module. So we have a credits report. The credits reports allows you to see outstanding credits between a selected date range. It will give you detailed or summary. The summary will give you the balances of what's outstanding, whereas the detailed will show you all of the transactional detail for use of that credit. So issue, spending, adjustments, and outstanding balance. You can choose which credit categories to report on that. So if you just want to see your golf credit categories versus your food and beverage, and it'll show you your credit balances for any members outstanding. We also have a club credit inquiry. So this is what we were looking at on this screen. This shows you the credit detail for one credit at a time. So you would select the credit number, which is a gift certificate number. You can look it up as well in the search field. Details the owner, purchaser, date purchased, expiry, shows the activity, and shows the current balance. And then again, this is a screen where you can modify the owner or the status. Expire Club Credits is a program that you can use to expire or clear out your club credits that have passed that expiry date. So what it will do is it'll look at the expiry date on the credit item, and then it will allow you to expire those credits, which essentially will post a journal entry to remove the credits from the liability and recognize the revenue. Just to flip back to the previous screen, the credits report will show you a listing of all credits. So we just had a question regarding where can I see all credits. That's the credits report. That will show you a listing of everything versus the club credit inquiry will only show you one credit at a time. This is the Expire Club Credit screen, so it's a batch task. Choose the date of record, which will be the expiry date. Batch reference, GL description, choose the group and category and your expiry date filter, and then you'll proceed through this batch to expire the club credits. So you can see here in my postings, I have all of these store credits which are set to expire December 31st, and we're going to post that expiration. So that will also flip the status from active to inactive. And that concludes our session for AR Club Credit.